Hey travelers, welcome to a new video. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. My name is Chelsea and I am super passionate about helping underrepresented groups learn more about career opportunities in international affairs and how to travel boldly with confidence. In today's edition of Composure Under Fire, I have the privilege of interviewing the fabulous Itiah Thomas, an American expat who is living in Australia. Before we begin, make sure you smash that like button and smash the subscribe button if you want to see more content related to this. All right, let's get started. So, Itiah, the first question that I have for you is, what drew you to Australia? What was the allure? How did you find yourself in Australia?
Yeah. So Australia, it was like, to be honest, I don't know how it landed on one of my top three places to travel, along with Italy and Greece, but it did, and I was able to do so in kind of 1 year in 2013, or rather, while I was traveling in Greece and Italy, I met Australians on my cruise, and they invited me to come to Australia in 2013, and I just automatically fell in love, particularly with Sydney from like day one. It's as if Sydney chose me, is what I explain to people. And for me, it was the weather, the vibe. It just didn't feel like it was a foreign country for me. It just felt really comfortable, really immediately. And for me, having traveled to so many countries, I didn't necessarily feel that strong of a pull to move somewhere. In the same way that I did when I visited Sydney. So for me, I thought it was something I definitely needed to explore.
So recently I saw on social media that you received dual citizenship to be both an Australian citizen and an American citizen. How, if somebody is watching this video, what process did you go through? Could you walk us through the process of obtaining a dual citizenship in both the US and Australia?
Yeah, so I've passed the test for my citizenship. It's still like the paperwork is still being wrapped up to actually be able to officially call myself an Australian citizen. I initially came here on a working holiday visa. And so that allowed me to, for 1 year, work here if I got in by my 31st birthday, and work and travel here in Australia, and go in and out freely of the country during that time. So about 6 months after I had gotten here on that visa is when I started to look for companies that could sponsor me to stay longer. Went through that process of applying for permanent residency, which is like, you have to show all your credentials, get certified by a third-party agency that the government trusts to say that, yes, you are skilled in that profession. Medical exams. I didn't have to take an English test being from the States, but that would be the case for others as well. The paperwork, all the documents, right? And so submitted that, and then it was just kind of this waiting game to hear back. And then, I got permanent residency, which then allows me to be able to, for a 5-year period, I can go in and out of the country freely and live and work here without restrictions. But by year 5, you would have had to apply for citizenship. I did get an agent, so I did most of it myself. But then there were some things that I was like, yep, it's definitely better to get an agent. Yeah, it's been about a 5-year journey. And I'd say that mine is probably the most smooth version of that, because I was a skilled migrant in commercial construction, project management, building hospitals. So they needed that skill set here. So I was really grateful for that. And getting an agent, I definitely felt in the end was definitely the way to go.
What is something that people should be aware of when they are about to transition to move to a different country?
The things that I kind of give people, or that I really encourage people to do before they really start, is to, one, try to shore yourself up with some cash, basically, in the first step. I mean, it'll give you that leeway if you don't have a job yet before you move over, which I am, living proof that you don't need to have a job before you move over. You can find one, but I did also have finances. Being outgoing really helps because just like with careers, moving in a new place, really networking is a big part of starting to feel ingrained in the locale. It's the creature comforts of having community. So it's possible to try to build that support before even coming by either joining any Facebook groups or meetup groups or whatever that are particularly with people in that locale, so that you can start that relationship even before you move. Understand maybe a couple of different visa options for you for yourself to be able to stay. So I had, at least maybe 4 options that I could have gone down, 5, because the 5th one being, we get into a partnership visa, but we didn't have to, go that far with it. So so maybe definitely being aware of what that process is to, even if you're not trying to become a citizen, that would allow you to stay, or be okay with, if my max is 1 year, then my max is 1 year. And I'm a planner, being a project manager in that sense. So I did this a pull plan, we would consider a pull plan schedule. It's like, okay, you start with the end date. So I know what day I'm leaving, let's work backwards. Okay, what do I need to do? And figure out that order of what to do it in. And that kept me really aligned. So I had the most massive Gantt chart ever to keep myself aligned with that. So just focus on getting your finances in order. There's going to be a lot of unknowns, and it's just basically, to me, I feel like it's about becoming comfortable with unknowns. And you might as well get in that mindset before you leave. Go with an open mind, open heart, and learn to go with the flow sooner rather than later.
Exactly. I feel like you find so much about the place that you're in when you're actually there. There's only so much that the internet can tell you. But when you're actually there, that's when you can find the jobs, the neighborhoods, the house, everything like that. What resources would you recommend to someone who is considering a move to overseas, or maybe specifically Australia?
Finding out about agents, migration agents. So find one and at least have a chat with them, even if you don't engage them to help through your process. But definitely have a chat, and so that you're really clear on what your situation is. Whatever helps you with budgeting and sticking to it, it's definitely useful if it's not something you're doing already. Finding whatever relevant groups. Like I said, there are a lot of travel groups and people who want to leave or move to someplace, but actually being in a group of people that is, instead of getting more generic advice, that's the group that you want to be in, versus people who want to move abroad, be in the groups of people who have moved abroad. So pick your circles, or else you'll just get a lot of information. So if you can find resources that helps you, with checklists, or enrolling in something that can help you navigate that, because it's really easy to get stuck in research mode, trying to suck in a lot of information and then trying to figure out what is the best information for you to go forward with. So definitely get friendly with official information, and by that I mean if you're going to look up visa stuff, look up visa stuff directly from the website of the government that you are looking to go for. Always keep your passport up to date. Don't let it lax. That'll be the first thing that you need to be, making sure that you have sorted, especially since things are taking a lot longer to be processed. So let that be your first step. Even if you're thinking about it, half thinking about it, not sure, it doesn't matter. And get the 52-page version of it. Don't mess around with the 26-pager. Just get the full book. So it's the same price, or else you'll be paying to add pages in later.
It sounds really amazing. Switching topics. As a woman of color, as a Black woman, do you feel comfortable in Brisbane?
I personally do, and I would say I'd attribute that to a couple of things. One, I have a really broad range of friends, both international and Australians that are pretty well traveled as well. So my circle is really open to diversity. They are diverse themselves, and just, yeah, like, so the openness is really is quite there. To be honest with you, I feel like that's been just a life experience in general. So I don't take it to be any more personal or upsetting or whatever, just because in all of my travels and all the times that I've lived abroad, like, it's just for better or for worse, something that I've become used to. So it just, I probably don't even notice it really as much. I personally feel comfortable, I'd say, if, but I could see how there's, potential for people not to feel comfortable. So I can't say, like, I can speak for, like, how Black people are treated on the whole here, to be honest with you. Yeah, but this is definitely just from my experience. It's been really positive. And I feel really comfortable being here personally. Yeah.
Well, that's good. So if someone is like thinking about coming to Australia, one thing that I know I have a question about is hair. And so are there places to get your hair done? Like, how do you manage your hair while you're in Australia? All of that.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I haven't had to actually look for anything here yet because I come in supply, have my supply. I mean, there was like an African hair care store in Newtown that I think did have stuff, but I was like pretty much already stocked like recently from a trip back to the States. So I knew that could have been a place that I had gone to.
Well, that's good. That's good that you have like a good stock, a good supply in your house. Yeah, because it's important.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you love about Australia? And specifically Brisbane.
I love that Brisbane's a walkable city. So yeah, I can get around pretty easily with walking or public transportation. I haven't had a need to have a car when I lived in Sydney or in Brisbane. I walked to work every day, or when I was going into the office, I walked like to and from. So I walked over the river and like the botanical gardens, and it was a really nice start to my day. Found some really good people to have in my circle, both in Sydney and in Brisbane. So that's been really key and enjoyable. I feel like there's like enough to do, but it's not overwhelming. Like, I'm not bored, which I get bored pretty easily. So this is good. I haven't been bored. So yeah, I still feel like there's like, enough festivals or something going on. Plus, like I said, with my own friend group, we create our own fun. Because in Brisbane, like, the weather is pretty much gorgeous year round. It's tropical. And you can get to gorgeous stretches of beaches, like hours and hours long of beach, so it's a great, Queensland in general is a great state to be in with the variety of places that you can go.
So on that same vein, what is a habit that you've picked up that is unique? What is a habit that you picked up that's like very Australian?
I'd say that I probably find myself out in nature a bit more. I have like built-in walks into my routine to either do in the morning or at lunchtime, or occasionally I'll catch up with a friend to do a walk. So coastal walks are big here, doing things walks along the river, walks in my neighborhood. So I've just been getting outdoors probably a bit more.
What is something that has surprised you the most about Australia that you would have never guessed?
I feel like I haven't had any major culture shocks or anything that was super surprising, but I also think it helped that I did visit before I came, although it wasn't at least 2 weeks here before I moved. So I went to pretty much every major city except for Darwin. So I had already picked out the neighborhoods that I pretty much want to live in each one of those locations. I'd say I probably am surprised at how calm and peaceful a lifestyle I'm living and that I'm enjoying that. And I've definitely been enjoying a slower pace. I don't know if that's coming with age.
How has your expectations of moving abroad compared to reality?
Exceeded.
Ooh.
Completely exceeded. Like, I just feel like everything just really fell into place in my life more holistically once I was here.
Is there anything about the United States that you miss?
It's more about like being in New York, how accessible things are. So you can get pretty much anything that you want at any hour. So I guess the on-demand nature and availability of things was something I think I was spoiled by. That wasn't the case even outside of New York. In other states, it definitely did. Things are just quite accessible, I should say.
Well, thank you so much, Itiah, for your time. This has been really informative, and I'm sure people who want to live abroad, especially in Australia, will find this like so helpful. Where can people find more information or like follow your journey about your life in Australia?
I have a group called Leaping for Change, a Facebook group. So that's where I literally try to help to encourage and help guide and help people navigate those moves abroad, or so changing their career or their job. So that's Leaping for Change. It's a private Facebook group, but just to answer the questions, I'll let you on in. I also have a Facebook group called Women of Color Who Travel. And so that's another area that I encourage, not only speak about my travels, but also encourage people who want to travel in that community. So yeah, I'd say those are kind of the main ones, and I can continue into that.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And for those who are watching, I hope you learned a lot about Atia's experience in Australia, some of her life lessons. Be sure to hit the subscribe button for more content like this, for more travel videos and my experience overseas. And until next time, see you later.
I'm Itiah Thomas, and you're watching Composure Under Fire with Hey Ms. Traveler.